If you're not new to this channel, you know how much I struggle with creating hair, especially for female characters. And it's probably no surprise, since hair seems to be one of the hardest topics to tackle in character art. So I recently set out on a mission to improve my hair skills and find the best ways to make it using Blender. And in this 3-part series, I'm gonna share with you my findings using 3 distinct approaches: hair cards, curves, and the particle system. So buckle up, because today we're starting with the hair cards. I'm gonna cover this process from start to finish, so we're gonna generate our very own hair cards. But if you already have your own textures and just want to learn how to generate the hair cards and style them, then just jump to the timestamp you see on the screen. Now to create the hair textures, open a new Blender file, perform the usual cube sacrifice, and adjust the camera position to face the front. Add a new plane, and adjust it so it's positioned on the top of the camera render area, facing down towards the floor. Scale it down to make it a bit smaller and apply the scale. Now with the plane selected, add an empty hair object and go into sculpt mode. Now here you'll see that we have many different tools when compared to the usual sculpt mode. The add hair tool creates a new hair strand on top of the face that you're painting, and remove hair removes it. The selection tool lets you select and mask out what you want to sculpt, and the brush tool is your regular sculpting operator. The most important brushes for now is the comb and grow and shrink, but you can play around and discover what each one of them does. Add a new hair, adjust it to the length that you desire, and adjust its shape using the comb brush. Add a couple more and keep adjusting. These will be your hair guides. Now back into the object mode, open the asset library, scroll down to the hair section, grab the interpolate hair curves, and drop it on top of your hair object. Not the plane object, the actual hair one. This will generate more hair following the guides we created. Now go into the modifiers tab, inside the interpolate hair curves, select the plane as the surface object, and adjust the density until the lock of hair looks full. Remember to set the curve's shape to strip in the render settings to give them more depth. And now, we're gonna make it more interesting by using the other hair modifiers. Set hair curve profile will control the thickness of the hair strands. We'll add one of these to control the root profile, and another for the overall thickness and the tip profile. Just make sure that you uncheck replace radius for the second one. The radius sets the thickness value, and the shape controls the position along the curve where the thickness variation will occur. The curl modifier will turn your lock into a bunch of curls. This is great for creating curly hair, but even if you're doing wavy straight hair, adding this with a low factor can give you some interesting results. The braid modifier will turn your hair lock into a braid. Noise and frizz are somewhat similar, but while noise will add random noise to the strands, frizz will allow you to frizz your hair at a much more controlled frequency. The roll modifier will allow you to roll from the tip of the strands upwards, while rotate will allow you to rotate the whole strands around its origin point. Trim will make the hairs shorter or longer according to your input, and this is a good one to add a little bit of randomness to the overall length of the strands. Blend, smooth, and straighten will help you smooth out the hair, and the clump modifier is one of the best modifiers and the most important ones, as it will help you transform the tip of the hair from a chaotic mass into a well-groomed clump. We'll just break it up a little bit to make sure it looks a bit more natural. Now after we've done all this, remember you can still go back into sculpt mode and adjust your hair guides to get more control over the results. I find that it's generally a good idea to try and make each lock of hair look like one single clump in the end, as it will ultimately be treated as such when we're actually creating the hair cards. And from now on we can add a material to this hair to preview how it's looking. Once you're satisfied with how your first lock of hair looks, select both the plane and the hair objects and duplicate it, moving it just beside the first one and reducing the density in the interpolate hair modifier. And to make it a little bit different from the first one, you can change the values of the properties inside the modifiers or just change the seed of the interpolate hair modifier. Keep repeating this until you have a good variety of hair locks with different density levels, and you're all set. Now if you want, you can also create locks for the character's eyelashes and eyebrows with the same technique. Just make the length of the hairs shorter and the density at a pretty low value. It's also a good idea to create different versions of the hair locks to mix things up later when grooming the hair and make your final result look more natural and a lot more interesting. Now that you created your hair locks variations and are satisfied with how it looks, we can render this out and export the texture maps. Make sure that your camera is facing straight at the hair. Add a light object to your scene if you haven't one. Then go into the View Layer Properties tab. Under the light passes, check Diffuse Color and Ambient Occlusion. Now in the Render tab, under Film, check Transparent, and you're all set. You can now hit Render Image. Now go into the drop-down and save each of these individual passes as its own image file. And in your preferred image editing software, use the alpha channel from the combined render as a mask to generate the alpha map. Now we already have the color and the alpha maps, but we're still missing the height data to give it a little bit more depth. And to solve that, we're gonna hop into this GitHub containing a genius tool called Normal Map Online and use our ambient occlusion map as a height map to generate the normals. Once we've done all that, we can start building the character's hairstyle with the hair cards. Now let's hop back into Blender and open up our character model, add a new plane, and scale it down uniformly. Rotate it so it faces the front. This is going to be the first hair card, so make sure its width matches the width that you desire for your hair card. Don't worry about the height yet, we'll take care of that soon. In Edit mode, create a vertical loop cut and move it slightly forward like this. Now add a curve object and make sure that its transform data matches the plane object. Now with the plane selected, add an array modifier with the legacy version, not the new one. Set it to fit curve and then select your curve as the target. Keep relative offset checked with 0 as the value for X and for Y, and -1 to Z, and check merge. Now you're gonna add a curve modifier and set your curve target to the curve that we just created. Set the deform axis to -Z, and you're all set. Just use its points to shape the hair card to your liking. You can use Ctrl+T to rotate each section and Alt+S to scale them. Now when you're moving the points around, you notice there is a start point and an end point where more segments will be added as you increase the length of the curve. So position the first one closer to the scalp and style it from that one onward. Let's add a material to this hair card so we can preview it. We're gonna drop the texture maps into the shader editor. I'll use the color, alpha, and normal maps and set the roughness and metalness manually. But if you want, you can create texture maps from the ones we exported for these two. Set the object to shade smooth and go into the material preview mode. And you see everything is working out, but that the textures are repeating. So to fix that, we're gonna open the UV editor and scale the UV down on the x-axis until it matches the width of the lock of hair in your texture map. Now scale it on the y-axis using a well-defined factor, for example 0.1, because we're gonna use that value again shortly. Just make sure that you remember. And on the array modifier, set the vertical UV offset to the value you just used to scale your UV on the y-axis. The size of the UV will determine how much the UV should be offset. So if you scale it further, multiply the current offset value to the value you used during the scaling. To create the hairstyle of your character, you're gonna have to look up some references and really observe how the hair flows from the root to the tip, and try to replicate that using the curves. Keep duplicating your hair card setup and styling it until you have a full head of hair. Use the more dense hair sections to block out the general shape of the hairstyle, and the more sparse strands to add some flyaway hair and make things a little bit more interesting. Remember to control the length of the strands using the UV scale and UV offset and in the end you'll have a great hairy model to take home. This is the most tedious and laborious part of the process. So it'll take some hours and a lot of patience to get it just right, but in the end, it will be worth it, as it is with most things in life, trust me. Now if you want to take it a step further, you can also use hair cards to create eyelashes and eyebrows for your model. I personally like to do them in one single hair card each, making a full brow or full eyelash hair section for example, but you can do it by combining multiple hair cards too if you prefer. Me personally, I like to just extract the geometry straight from the model and UV unwrap it, adjusting the UV shape to what it looks like in the texture map. So if you followed along, your character should look something like this now, and it's ready to be exported into game engines like Unreal or any other. I really hope this video helped you and that you enjoyed watching it. If it did help you or kept you entertained, make sure to subscribe for more and hit that like button. It truly helps me a lot. And thank you so much for the continuous support, guys. We're more than 3,700 now. Thank you to every single one of you. And if you're not subscribed, come along. You're very welcome here, so join us, my friend. As always, you can find my models on Gumroad and CG Trader, so if you want to check them out, you can find the links below. That's it for today, but don't miss out my next videos in this series, and stay tuned for my next character breakdown.
Now we're talking.
I wish you guys an amazing day, God bless you, and I'll see you later.